there are two of my image, but I don't know what to do, so I think it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I see you and hear you, so I'm going to mute myself.
Yes. That is better.
Okay.
Sarve Om Sahana Vavatu. You know, the moment you sing and you absorb the meaning, Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karva Vahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. So, in a nutshell, we have the 5 stages. First, do you remember the becoming a seeker? And when you become a seeker, then you have a questioning mind. You have a right frame of the intellect. Remember those 4 powers of the intellect. So that makes one a qualified seeker. And then you approach the teacher with the humility, means keeping aside our past knowledge and understanding to absorb the teaching of the Eastern wisdom. And the third Upadeshana, listening to the teaching with purity of the mind. And then we contemplate and reflect to have a clear understanding. And the fruit of the first 4 steps is awakening and freedom. That is what we summarized. So in this 5 stages of the summary, it includes all the 4 powers of the intellect, it includes 360-degree understanding, it includes Mangala Charan, 4 connections, 4 practices, karma, bhakti, and lot of other steps. So that makes one a seeker. So we are understanding in these sessions how I am. Well, first the intellectual understanding, and then we raise our level of awareness. What are the sleep state, waking state, and the dream state? I am present in all the 3 states. It is something like I take one person to Mexico, I return home. I take second person to the New Jersey, I return home. I take third person to Canada. Yes, and I return home. All the 3 persons do not know one another. They are totally unaware of it. But I am aware of all the 3. What I'm saying, I'm aware of the waking, dream, and the sleep state. That is how we have to understand. You see that? Oh, I'm aware of the sleep. Oh, I slept. Well, I slept soundly. No, I had a disturbed sleep. No, I saw the dream, and I'm in a waking state. And you see the challenge? We have been passing through all the 3 states. I am always present, and I don't know myself. Why I don't know myself? Because I feel I'm a waker, I'm a sleeper, I am a dreamer. I cannot be all the 3. Like the 3 persons are different. So you see that our master starts with the verse number 1. He says that salutation to the revered teacher. He is saluting to his teacher, a sense of humility, keeping aside our ego, whose lotus feet give birth to a guru. It means I surrender myself, I keep aside my ego, I drop and dissolve my separate identity of the waker, sleeper, and the dreamer. That is what is referred to as whose lotus feet give birth to a guru. With a great delight, immense delusion. Why I am pay gratitude to the teacher, because he is ready to remove the crocodile of delusion. I have already discussed in detail. Crocodile of delusion. I remind you, crocodile of the delusion, when the crocodile catches the prey and it starts moving 360 degree. So even the deer he catches and he removes, the entire body of the deer breaks into parts. So that is why he gave a simile, crocodile of delusion. That delusion is always causing me problems, suffering, anxiety, duality, conflict every day. And that is why I say, how many times you were in anxiety, duality, conflict. As you know that I went for 2 weeks, so-called the vacation, but I said I will remain connected to my journey of the Eastern wisdom. How? No session will be affected. So I made a preparation. After all, these sessions are much more important than going to the restroom. Restroom also I am alone, I cannot ignore it. Why should I ignore this? That idea, when that idea lives in your mind, your mind remains at the highest level of the purity. Somebody sent in mail that I'm going on a vacation, so I'll not be available. It's okay. But you are not going on vacation for 24 hours. so it so the second verse, the master says, the pair of the lotus feet of the Guru, again keeping aside your ego, for those whose minds are purified through the karma yoga, that we will take up later, for the easy understanding of the real, then we are ready to understand, this journey of Eastern wisdom. What is the journey of the Eastern wisdom? I have to find, I am the real self. And what is real self? Real self is eternal. What is eternal? It was present yesterday, it is present today, and it is going to be present in the future. But I die. No, your body dies. You don't die. So it means I have to understand clearly the same example of the three persons, three bodies. Body is absent in sleep. Body is also this body is also absent in dream, and this body is present in the waking state. That proves that I am not the body. And this body and the mind is absent in the sleep state. It proves that I am not the body and the mind. It is the mind that makes me an individual. First, I am the body. I am different from you. I am different from Dennis. I'm different from Terry. I'm different from Jerry and David. You see, I'm different from computer. It is that difference is understood only when I am the body. I am different from the dog, means the dog body and my body is different. I'm different from my honey. Honey body is different from me. So it means since our birth we have to live in this ignorance that I am the body. So now coming to the third verse, before going to the third verse, we have to understand the operating principle to understand. Any operating principle to understand how to work on the mobile, refrigerator, computer. So here our understanding of operating principle, knowledge is equal to object plus knowledge of an object plus the knower plus the consciousness. I know Dennis. This is a statement. Knowing means knowledge. Object is Dennis. Knowledge of an object. Again, Dennis. Knower is the mind. And behind that, there is a real knower, consciousness. If you remove that consciousness, it does not make any sense. Whether there is an object or knowledge of an object or the knower. So that object, knowledge of an object, and the knower are known. That is object. And the consciousness is the subject, is the real knower. So second operating principle is the knower and the known, subject and the object, seer and the seen, the false I and the real I. Clear? Objects are many, subject is always one. I told you I was present with all the three persons, but none of these three persons have ever interacted with one another. And still I know all of them. Because I know all of them, they are objects. Whatever I know in this world, they are known. I cannot be that known. I know Dennis, so I am not Dennis. I know David, so I am not David. How simple. I know computer, I am not computer. So I have to raise my bar of awareness to understand knower and the known. Two things in the world. One object is now that knower remains one. And we have different objects, so we have different experiences. Variety of objects, variety of experiences. We are caught in variety of experiences and variety of objects, and we start claiming we are the object. So these are the operating principles. So with that operating principle, let us understand, when we remain aware of the first two words, preparation, foundation, 360-degree understanding, and then we reflect every day. I wake up in the morning, so I remember, am I the waker or not? Oh, just before waking up, oh, there was a sleeper. I was present. I am present in sleeping, I am present in waking, and I am present in dream. So this master says in the third verse, he explains the waking state, where he says, first line, first part of the verse, he says, all the five sense organs, so it has their respective objects. My eyes cannot listen, so listening, it is an object of the ear. Senses, why we say it is a sense organ, it gives me the knowledge. So I get variety of objects from the five sense organs, and so I have variety of experiences. That means the knowledge. And when that happens in a waking state. That does not happen in a dream and the sleep state. Pay attention. Pay attention. So when you are aware of it, it becomes such an interesting analysis. So you see that variety of objects, variety of experiences, how through the sense organ behind there is a mind. But then what how we say in US, you drop a bombshell. What he says, the consciousness is only one. Behind that mind, variety of objects, variety of experiences, consciousness is only one, and that is the only one knower. That does not change. Again, the same example. I was present with the three people at different times. Huh? with a different set of experiences. So variety of people, variety of experiences, but still I am the same person in the waking state. It means, what is mindfulness? Now define that mindfulness. Mind is full with the consciousness. Mind is not full with a variety of objects and their experiences. That is why we say it is mindfulness. And what is mindlessness? Oh, I have a variety of experiences. Oh, I get triggered by small object people and I get upset and I get frustrated. Uh, they are not me in a waking state. I have to recognize why they are me, because I'm attached to the body. That I will take up later. So objects of perception are distinct from each other. How many objects I see through the eyes, the computer, the monitor, the virtual images of you and myself, and the camera and the light and the room. Oh, variety of objects. You pay attention to any object and you have a variety of experiences. But they are distinct from each other. But behind that there is one knower, the perceiving consciousness, or the subject, or the knower, is separate from all the objects and its experiences. We need to maintain that awareness all the time. So what happens? The consciousness itself remains uniform and unchanging. So that proves I am not a waker. I am different than the waking state. Different. What are the stages of? Now you see that I want to bring one thing more here. It is the power of discernment we have to work. Patanjali, and now I'm going back to the Patanjali, the great master. He says there are 7 stages of discernment. Yes, then only we can separate the knower from the known, from the uh, subject in the object, from the seer in the seen. Answer is yes. It should happen in my intellect. When the mind does not interfere, mind interferes, it means the impurity of the mind. So the Patanjali says that he explains in 7 stages. I should recognize that there is a suffering and learning its causes, recognizing flaws in the worldly objects, recognizing there is a suffering and imperfection in the world. So I should recognize that. I should not say I am suffering. Body is a part of the world. Weakening these causes of suffering, how? By separating object in the subject, seer in the seen. Then eliminating the suffering through the practice of meditation. So then what happens? The intellect gains the sense of maturity. In that state of maturity, there is no effort is required. Means effort to practice meditation is not required. Then what happens? Our master further says that when you start experiencing, you have a pain, but the body is separate from you. I am separate from the body, I'm separate from the waker, means that I'm separate from the body. So what happens? Your mind is dominated by the sato guna. Where is sato guna? The purity and the knowledge. Purity is there and the knowledge is there. So there is a constant awareness that I am not the body. I am not the body. So what happens? What happens? You move beyond that state that I am the body. Then what happens? You experience there is a spark of the real self deeper inside, different from the entire known world. And once we are there, that is known as the highest meditation. Now, the same thing happens in the dream state also. What is the only difference? That the variety of experiences lives for a very shorter period. We see the entire world and the dream in few minutes, as if many hours have passed. So look at his deeper and very subtle understanding. He says there is only difference between the waking and the dream state. In the dream state, we have a dream world. Like we have a waking world, so we have a world here. So in the dream world, we also have the same world, but this body is not active. We have a dream body. So it's more a psychological, mental, mental. So mind is active, but this body is not active. What a big surprise! What a big surprise! But I'm also present. Why I'm present? Because I'm watching the ring. Just see the how at a subtler level this master talks about. The verse compares the dream state to the waking state, noting that while objects in the waking state appear stable, next day again I meet my honey, I meet the same room, I have the same pain if I have some pain after the sleep. So it appears stable. But in the dream state, they are transient. Despite this difference, the consciousness that perceives both the states remains unchanged, and that consciousness I am. Go back to the three person. I visited three places, but I am the same person. But three people do not know one another, but I am aware of all. The dream state, the perceived objects are transient, temporary, stays for a shorter period. Whereas in a waking state, they are relatively more steady. Relative. They are different from each other, same in the dream state, same in the waking state. Variety of objects, variety of experiences. But I, that is homogeneous and does not differ. So look at the way Master is explaining. So we have to pay attention. So Master says in this verse, similarly in the dream state, the perceived objects. That is the first part of the verse. So he says the variety of objects, I perceive the variety of objects in the dream state. Similarly, so he is pointing there is one similarity between the waking and the dream. So in the second part of the verse, he says, the dream state, the perceived objects are not steady, where in the waking state they are relatively steady. They are relatively steady. Third line of the verse, they are different from each other. Same in the waking state. Both are different. So both are different means that waking and the dream state are different from the consciousness, independent. Knower is only one, which is homogeneous and does not differ. If there is a different I in the dream state and if there is a different I in the waking state, I cannot recognize these three states. Understanding. The Master does not talk about any religion, dogma, mantra, practice. He says understand. That is the beauty of this Master. And I told you the Vidyaranya, one of the great masters ever lived. Unchanging, when we say that I is the same, so we give it a different name. Unchanging witness of the changing states. So we have included both the waker and the dreamer. In dream also it is changing. So one that is constantly changing and one that is not changing. What is created is subject to change. Buddha died, Jesus died, all the great masters. No, they left the body. We use the term they left the body. Because what is created will continue to change. And what is uncreated, that is nowhere in the pure consciousness, will never change. It is one homogeneous, one eternal. That is what the real self is. That is what the real self. So, when you sit calmly and constantly contemplate and reflect on the waking state and also the dream state, you will see the common points. Only one thing is there: relatively, in the waking state, the objects and their experiences are relatively stable, but they are not always present because they are changing. Relatively stable. But in the dream state, they are not stable. Once the dream is gone, in few minutes we have seen the entire story of our life since our childhood to the old age, and then we return. Oh, I have only slept for an hour, but the entire life journey has started. Dream objects are less stable than the waking state. Waking objects. Both dream and the waking objects are perceived by the consciousness. You see that? Objects in both the states are distinct from each other. Both the states are distinct from each other and from the consciousness. Consciousness remains unchanged across the states. Understanding this distinction is a crucial for self realization, for awakening. Understand this. Clearly understand this. So you don't identify with the waking state does not mean that you don't work. You continue to think, speak, and act, but behind that, there is an awareness of a knower who knows I'm just playing and acting in the world. I'm thinking, speaking, and acting. But that consciousness, it's like a movie screen, remains unchanged, while various images are projected in it. So same thing in the waking states, a big drama unfolds every day. Today I have lot of problem, today I have anxiety, tomorrow I have lot of pleasure. The day after I'm waiting for a new car or new shirt, I have already decided to go on a vacation. But they are objects. Variety of objects, variety of experiences. I am the same guy. I am the same. Who is that guy? I am the consciousness. Look at the movie screen. You watch 5 movies and bring them together. That is our life. You watch the romantic movie, then you remember your days of the marriage or dating. It is the drama that unfolds in the waking state. Or you can say the consciousness is like the sky. Like the sky is here, on which the thoughts, perception, variety of objects and experiences are like the passing clouds. Nothing happens to the sky. Nothing happens to the sky. Such a great testimony, the way he explains the thing. So it depends on the master emphasizes that importance of discernment, changing, unchanging, false in the real, I-ness attached to the body, drop this I-ness, I-ness attached to the mind and dream state, I-ness attached to the body and the mind in the waking state, and that I-ness is not there in the sleep state, it means I'm not the ego. Modern psychology has been working so hard. Personality, ego, etc., etc. There is no ego in the sleep state, but I'm still present there. So we are analyzing and understanding the three states: the waking state, the dream state, and the sleep state. Why we are analyzing? In order to know who is the knower, actual knower, or is that knower or the seer is present in all the three states or not. And if it is present in the three states, so we have to find out whether it is changing or not. It is unchanging, it is eternal. That is the real I, that is the knower. So we have to reflect on that. What is the difference between the waking and the dream state? You see that this body is not present in the dream state, but we have variety of objects and variety of experiences. This body is present in the waking state, and we have variety of objects and their perception because of the five sense organs. We have a dream sense organs. Look at it. But still, one consciousness is there. I'm repeating again the same example of the three people I have seen. So what happens in the sleep state? Just think of it. Body is not there, mind is not there. So one thing becomes very clear: I continue to exist in the sleep state, but I'm not the body and the mind. Because if I exist, I should continue to exist. Simple logic. I continue to exist. So I is a body and I is a mind do not exist in the sleep state. And also the ego is do not exist in the sleep state. But there is something that continues to exist who is a knower who knows the sleep state. Look at it. Who knows the sleep state? I will talk later what the master says about the sleep state, but just we are understanding in the sleep state. I do not know the world in the waking state. I do not know the world in the dream state. Why to worry? Because I'm none of them. Science explores differently. They are also right. They want to explore why the sleep state absorbs the pain and we do not have the pain, etc. Here we are trying to find out who am I. They are also right. They are just trying to understand the objective reality, which is constantly changing. What happens? The unconsciousness is there, unconscious of the body and also the unconscious of the mind. So what happens? The mind has four functional aspects: the mind, memory, intellect, and I-ness. They are not there. Then how do I know? But I still have an experience. What is my experience in the sleep state? Absence of objects. Presence of objects and absence of both are experiences. Vaibhav is there in the session? No. Vaibhav is absent. So this is also an experience. Are you getting it? So you are present. So this is also an experience. This is also a knowledge. So the first experience we get in the sleep is that what? Absence of experiences. Why? Absence of objects of perception. Why? Because the mind is also in the background. Mind, intellect, ego, etc., memory, they are also absent. And so the body is also absent. What translates my experiences from the mind to the, because of the body. The body and the mind are absent, but I have an experience. What is that experience? Absence of objects. That is sleep state. Patanjali defines that way. I'm going back to Patanjali, and then uh, we will discuss about what he says about the sleep state. Now, question arises that why we, how do I experience the absence of objects? One, I also experience relaxation and calmness in sound sleep. Who is the knower that there is an absence of objects, and who is the knower that I am totally relaxed? I had a very deep sleep. I use that word. So who is that knower? So can the knower be without the mind? Yes. It is a testimony, it is a proof. That consciousness is always there. Consciousness manifests through the mind, that is a different thing, but the consciousness is ever present, uniformly, homogeneous awareness is always there in the deep sleep. No, but consciousness does not experience. Dennis may ask this question, but consciousness has nothing to experience. Yes, you are right. But the moment I'm talking from the waking state, the consciousness manifests through the mind and it gives you the understanding that I had a deep and sound sleep and there was an absence of objects. You are expressing through the mind again. In the waking state, you cannot express in the sleep state. Yes, you're right. So that consciousness is present in all the three states. And you see what a surprising thing in our human life. We passes through these three states almost every day. Days after days, weeks after weeks, months after months, years after years, and still we don't recognize that consciousness, that knower does not undergo any change. When you say I am old with reference to the body, but that very I am is the same. See the beauty of understanding. We don't need any practice, we don't need any mantra, but we need a right frame of the mind. You can also draw a conclusion. I was a baby, reference to the body. I was a child, reference to the body. You see that with reference, but I'm not the body. It is a waking state you're talking about. I'm adolescence with reference to the body. I'm intelligent with reference to the mind, dream state. I don't know who am I. Almost in a waking state, I act like as if I'm sleeping. After all, I'm a human being. Then I have gray hair. One time I had all the black hairs. But again, I have to recognize that this is with reference to the body, not with reference to the knower, consciousness, unchanging, eternal, all pervading. Mind is hyperactive in dream, body, mind. No, mind, memory, intellect, and ego is always active in a waking state. None of them is active in the sleep state. But I know an absence of experience and I know the freshness in the sleep state. I know there was a dream body who has traveled thousands of miles, but this physical body kept lying on the bed. And this body has gone on vacation. I am not. I am the same. Can I have that awareness? I don't move. Consciousness does. Moment it moves, it will change. And anything that changes cannot be the knower. You go on vacation. What do you say? What a beautiful scene. Very good. What you are talking about? You are talking of an object and experiences with reference to the body. Are you talking about yourself? I enjoy. That is your experience. I have a pain. That is your experience. Variety of objects, variety of experiences in a waking state. I am none of them. Have you really gone on vacation? Think. You don't go anywhere. So when you recognize you don't go anywhere, that is the real self. That is the conscious. But why you don't go anywhere? It is all pervading. It is uncreated. Do you see that it is? So whether you go on vacation or whether you go to the restroom, it, two different objects, two different set of experiences, it is the same. But should I not go? Yes, you go. As long as we have the body and the mind, we should go. False does not mean that we have to drop and we have to destroy it. That is the beauty of the teaching of this master. Close your eyes. Eyes are closed, and you see, you can take up any point. Eyes are closed. Oh, let us take the same verse of the Ashtavakra. Yadi deham prathak kratyah chiti vishramya tisthasi adhunaiv sukhi shantah bandhamukto bhavishyasi. So as I translate and reflect on this verse for you, you move into that state. Is the way is the way to move into this journey. What the verse says, literal translation. Oh, literal translation is simple. If I separate the body means it is already separate. I recognize I am not the body. That recognition should be there. Oh, yes, okay. Recognition, that cognition should be there. And then what happens? The mind settles in itself. Why the mind settles in itself? I have already understood variety of objects, variety of experiences. I know object, knowledge of an object, Knower here is the mind. It's a relative knower, it's constantly changing. Plus consciousness. So the mind is settles now. Then what happens? The third part of the verse, Adunaiva Sukhi Shantah. Here and now you are in peace, in the joy. Here and now, without any practice, yes. Without referring any mantra, object, and their experiences, yes. You are in peace, in the joy, here and now. And then the Master says, Bandhu Mukto Bhavishyasi. So in the future, if you continue this, maintain this awareness, you will realize distinct from. Here you can add sleeping, dream, and the waking states. So you say that if you realize you are distinct from the three states, you are awakened. Answer is yes. How simplified version of Eastern wisdom he has put forth, but it demands constant contemplation and reflection. So we go back according to the Patanjali. I explained you there are 7 stages of discernment. So what I said in the first part of the verse that if you separate, they are already separate. They are not separate in ignorance. They are attached in ignorance. I feel I am the body in ignorance. I am not the body that I experience in knowledge. So, in that reference, he is saying if I separate, yadi deham prathakritya, if you separate the body, so here the separation has a different meaning. You remove the ignorance. What is that ignorance? I am the body. How? Apply the same principle. Is body an object? Yes. Do you have a knowledge of an object, your body? Yes. Do you have a knower as a mind? Yes. Do you have a consciousness behind that? Yes. Knower, relative knower is the mind. Knowledge of the object that is body is taking place in the mind, and object is the body. Do you remember any object in the body? Any object known or experienced by the mind cannot be me. You see, that discernment is required here and now. Why? I know Dennis, I'm not Dennis. I know David, I'm not David. I know the dog, I'm not the dog. Is it not so simple to recognize that I am not the body? So when I am not the body, I have separated. How I separated? By knowledge. What is that knowledge? Knowledge is nothing but awareness, understanding, experience, whatever you say. There are different words used in different contexts. But here I'm using all of them. If your mind says it makes a sense, and then it becomes a common sense. How come it becomes a common sense? How long, how many days, weeks, months, and years I have been waking? Am I a waker? No. First person I took to Mexico. I return home. I left the first person. I left the waking state. Do you see? That is how the Patanjali wants us to discern. Oh, very good. What about the dream state? Variety of objects and variety of experiences. So if it proves in the waking state variety of objects and variety of experiences are falling into the known and the objective reality. What I said, I know Dennis, I'm not Dennis. It falls into the objective reality. No, I'm none of them. Oh, the same thing happens in the dream state also. No, no, but I return to the waking state, to the same objective reality, to the same honey, to the same siblings, to the same situation. Yes, Master gives a simple answer, touching answer. Do you remember? In a waking state, these objects and their experiences are relatively stable, not unlike the dream state, they are not stable. They are not stable. How beautiful he points. Oh, so I'm not a dreamer? Yes, I'm not a dreamer. I'm not a dreamer. What are you doing now? Doing nothing. Doing nothing, then what is happening? One thing that you are not doing anything. Very good. But then what is happening? You are aware, you are conscious, so you cannot ignore what is happening. Now I feel some sensation in the body and there is an instant awareness. Yes, body, object, sensation, object, variety of experiences, and you have an awareness that I'm none of them. What is happening? Oh, you might be thinking some thought enters. Do you recognize thought as an object? I experience, I am the body in ignorance. I experience, I am the mind in ignorance. I experience, I am the thought and the feeling in ignorance. But these thought, feeling, mind, and the body are the objects known, seen. I cannot be seen, I cannot be known, I cannot be object. It's a hard, very hard truth. We don't digest it. Why? Ignorance. Can I say that you have a spark of awareness where you recognize the way I'm not the car, it's my car, I'm not the body, my body, I'm not the mind, my mind. Okay, I have to use it. I have to use it with discernment and discretion. You have to digest and assimilate. The first part of the verse, if I separate the body, if, he uses the word if, means in knowledge, in wisdom, in awareness. What is that separation? Knower and the known, subject and the object, seer and the seen. How simple it is if I separate. So that if he uses, are you ignorant or you are wise? Chiti Vishramya Tishtasi. Chiti Vishramya. Chiti means the mind. Vishram means the restfulness. Now, because mind does not identify I am, so it is resting. So, another word is used for resting is the purity of the mind. Not craving, not attached. It is an examined life. Then, what the master says, both the masters have more or less the same way of expressing. Adhunaiv sukhi shantah. Adhunaiv means here and now. You did not do any practice. Here and now you are happy and joyful. Fourth part of the verse. If you continue to live into that wisdom or knowledge, you reach to the state of awakening. Ashtavakra, one master. But this master says you are already there. You know that. You are the real knower, which never changes, which is uncreated. Which is uncreated. Another thing to understand, whatever is created or changes is not me. So when you do listen to the audio and it comes to a finishing point, you have to maintain the same state and remain vigilant of how this mind makes you forget the entire journey. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand your awareness on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. How are you, Samir?
I think uh, I I try to keep remembering every time that in the daytime, every time that whatever is changing is not me.
Yeah,
My mind is changing, my body is becoming old day by day,
yeah.
my thoughts are changing. So there is something in me which is not changing.
Yes, yes, that also will take us there. You see that we cannot reverse the aging of the body. I'm old, so I cannot become a baby. And that is nature. Nature has programmed the body. But I can recognize that I am not the body. Why? Because it is constantly changing, and I am a witness of all the changes in the body. And that is why we sometimes use it as a witness consciousness that never changes. Beautiful. How are you, Dennis?
Thank you for the lesson. I was thinking about your explanation that when I wake up from the deep sleep, I remember that I experience that sense of objects. Yes, this is true, and this uh, coincides with my experience, but I wonder who remembers it. It cannot be the mind because the mind was offline, so to say. And it also cannot be the consciousness because consciousness cannot have function of remembrance. It cannot have separate functions. Otherwise, it would have been consisting of parts, and
Yeah,
it cannot consist.
yeah.
So who remembers it?
Causal body. That's why we have a physical body. We have a subtle body where we recognize, we have a memory, we have experiences, both in the waking state and the dream state. But that is why they have created a model of physical body, subtle body, and the causal body. Why it is known as a causal body? It is also known as the ignorant body. So the causal body accumulates all the experiences, whether it comes through the mind or it comes through the action or it comes through any other means. So that is, but this master will go deep into the causal body also, and then we will understand. But the simple answer, it is the causal body. Cause means what? Cause means it is the cause of the subtle body, that is the mind, and also the physical body. So if the cause do not contain all the impressions of this physical and the subtle body, then it cannot be the cause. So that cause manifests, passes the experiences to the mind in the waking state, and we become aware of it. Or do you know, David Dennison said, I don't remember. And suddenly, oh, yes, say yes, yes, yes. Mine says I don't remember, but the causal body says, "Oh yes, now I know. Yes, 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 yes." So we will understand. How are you, Terry?
Uh, uh, I'm occasionally, um, if I dream something, I try, like, I must have a lead between the two states where, because I think most people don't do this, and I think it might be a bad sign. But like I dreamed I was on the subway, and in my sleep I tried to grab the bar, in the subway, and I knocked everything off the nightstand.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I traveled between between the physical state and the sleep state. But I just wanted to mention it. And I was also a little bit I was thinking about, you see another person sleeping, and their body is there, but they're asleep,
Yeah.
but they don't know it.
They don't know it.
So when I'm sleeping, I assume that my body is there, but I don't know it at that time. So I just wanted to bring up that point.
You see, yeah, what Terry is bringing in during the sleep, a sleeper does not know, neither it knows the body and the mind, but still there is some consciousness who is aware of it, who is conscious, because it is consciousness. That is also a wonderful point to reflect on it. And many masters in the tantra tradition, they they want us to go into sleep consciously, so that you separate your body and also the mind. So that experiment is known as the yoga nidra. Normally people don't understand that yoga nidra is being practiced in a different way. So yoga nidra, it is known as the psychic sleep. Yoga means always consciousness. So it is a conscious sleep. So people do it almost for 2 to 3 years of the practice. They do the practice for maybe 2 3 hours every day, and they reach to a point where they result into that I am the knower, only knower of the sleep, knower of the dream, and knower of the waking state. Good. How are you, David and Jerry?
Sir, thank you. The concept of the three stages, the sleep, the wake, and the dream state, leave me very intrigued with studying each one of them and getting deep and looking at the relations, because in the awake state we can do this practice and we can free our mind. In the sleep state we have the least control, it just is. And then the dream state is sort of this transition between the two of them. So I find that really fascinating. So I'm going to be reflecting on that more. The practice was, or the meditation was very good. I very much enjoyed the discussion today. Thank you.
Good. Yes, yes. You raised one point that we can say, roughly for the sake of understanding, the dream is a transition. I am not the body, but I am the mind. But in sleep state, I am not the body and the mind. In the waking state, I am both. I am the body and the mind. So, now how the nature transitions us, only the human being can understand these three states, no other living being. And that is where the power of discernment and power of dispassion comes. Beautiful. How are you, Jerry?
Sir, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for the lesson, and I feel like let's see, just to put it into words if I can. Intellectually, I know I'm not all the things that are changing, and so the same with the sleep and the dream and the waking. But the consciousness knows everything and doesn't need to worry about anything, doesn't worry and doesn't need to forget or remember, because it knows always, all the time, everywhere, never changes. So if we just remember that throughout our day, then we remember what we are, even though we can't see it, and
Yes.
but we know it. So we just I have faith in that's what I am, and that everything else that I know,
Yes.
that's changing, and I'm not, even though I'm living there, but I'm also living in consciousness.
Yes, you are right. When I learned from my master about this word mindfulness, it was the word used in Buddhism by a British scholar, and later on he became a monk. He went to Sri Lanka and he followed the traditional Buddhism. So he wanted to find out what should be the exact word for meditation in Buddhism. And since then, people have started using the word mindfulness. I'm referring to what you said. So you said remembering, if we continue to remember. Fundamentally, the seventh of the Eightfold Path of Buddha, which is known as the mindfulness, but literally it means self-remember, samyak smriti. So I went into in detail and I looked into the Pali, and then Master says self-remembering. What is this self? The consciousness remembering. That I remember that I am the consciousness. I will commit mistakes. I will enter into ignorance, in pain, in pleasure, in duality, in relationship. But I continue to remind my mind that no, I am this, I am this. That is what exactly the Buddha has taught us. But later on, it was twisted, it is Americanized or it is westernized. So, yes, that remembering that one thing never changes in the midst of the change. Another way, what is created will be destroyed. Created, destroyed means the changing. But there is one thing that is uncreated, and that is consciousness. That is all. Thank you very much. We will meet again.
Thank you, sir. Namaste.
Thank you.